Hello, I'm Rebecca. Welcome to Reading ID, and today I'm going to be talking about my top 5 favorite queer fiction of 2019. So in 2019, I read 86 books and 35 of them were queer. Most of those were fiction, which is what I'm talking about today. A few of them were memoirs or nonfiction, which I will be talking about in my next. It's going to be a top 3 video. The first series I want to talk about is Fence, and this is a queer sports comic. It is written by C.S. Passat and illustrated by Joanna the Mad. And if you are a fan of Check Please, this is for you. So we follow Nicholas. He's the illegitimate son of this legendary fencing champ. And, he's got a chip on his shoulder. He's got all the chips. He is just there. He's ready to prove himself. And he is really up against this fencing prodigy, Seiji. And spoilers, they become roommates. I will say the series is not quite as soft as Check Please because it centers more on this hockey rivalry and the tryouts for this team. Just look at the hate to love vibes on that cover. I die. It does also have these slow burn queer feelings, a whole cast of quirky teammates, and it will make you invested in sports when you don't care about sports. So they have announced that this is going to continue in standalone novels instead of an ongoing comic, which sounds amazing, but unfortunately I have not heard anything happening with this in over a year, so I'm a little worried about that. The next book I want to talk about is Witchmark by we had C.S. Passat, now we have C.L. Polk, the author of Witchmark, and oh my gosh, this book was a huge surprise for me. It just came out of nowhere for me, so I picked up this book because it was nominated for the Nebula Awards, I believe, and I had not read the synopsis, and it just ended up having one of the most gripping first chapters of any book that I've read in a long time. And then after I read, I think, the second chapter, I had to put it down and screech, Is this a male-male romance? Is that what's happening here? Yes, that is what is happening here. And this really just felt like a huge milestone to me because I've always had to go searching for books that are, marketed overtly to queer romance readers. So this was really cool to just stumble across it in a mainstream prize. So yeah, this takes place in a world that resembles Edwardian London. We follow Miles, who's a doctor, and he's treating servicemen who've come home from this war. Again, very heavily World War I shell shock vibes. And he is hiding his own noble background and his magical gifts for reasons. So that should be enough to intrigue you. By the way, this is C.L. Polk's debut novel, and so this was just a stunning debut. And she is coming out with a sequel to this that will center on a female-female romance, so heavily anticipating that one. Okay, the third book I want to talk about, Any Old Diamonds by K.J. Charles. I want to really emphasize that title, Any Old Diamonds, because I raved about this in my Queer Lit December wrap-up and somehow did not say the title of the book or share the picture of the book. I don't know what I was thinking, so I'm just going to share that clip with you again now and fix it. I dived back into one of my queer comfort authors, who's K.J. Charles, and she has a really big backlist that's available on Scribd if you're interested. And I really love how she mixes in other historical genres with queer romance. And in this case, it was sort of a pulpy Victorian revenge heist. So I loved this book. Wow. I thought it had a brilliant twist, but I don't want to spoil that. Okay, so it's about the son of a powerful lord who hires a jewel thief to rob his father and his, vain stepmother who has all these valuable jewels. So of course they, fall for each other along the way, and the main character, who's an artist, by the way, has, kind of like a sexual awakening and really gets in touch with his own needs in this book, and so it was very sweet and compelling partnership between them. And yeah, and so also it was a very exciting adventure, but at the same time they're having this really nuanced ongoing debate like about the morality of crime and the crime that they're committing, and that really drives the plot, the decisions that they're making. It does so much for their characterization. Yeah, I was very impressed with the execution of this book, and it made me want to go back and reread it. So we finally have come to an author who doesn't just use two initials. Let's see, so far we've had CS, CL, and KJ. And yes, those are all female authors using two initials. I wonder why. So I have heard universal raving about this family-centered manga by Gengoro Tagame, and everyone was right. It's incredibly charming. Everyone was also right that it's not really worth trying to read the first volume on its own. It's really just one continuous story that you won't get closure on until you read the second volume. We follow Yaichi and his young daughter. Her name is Kana. Oh, gosh, she's adorable. And they are getting to know their brother-in-law slash uncle who shows up at their door. Yaichi has to do a lot of unpacking his feelings about his brother who has passed away, and really get in touch with some of the homophobia that he hasn't really admitted to himself. So it's this amazing, gentle exploration of Japanese society. There's so much food. It explores being a single parent, how to be an ally, how to make a better world for your kids. So this was just a wonderful, wonderful story that if you're interested in reading queer stories, I mean, this one's going to melt your heart. This book also has the distinction of being the first one to be challenged in my school district in many years. And yeah, I was extra glad to have read the book so I was able to offer an informed defense of it at the time. The last book I want to talk about is Tonguebreaker by Leah Lakshmi Piepsna Samara Sinha. This is actually the second one in my best of list. The other one was on my top sci-fi list that I picked up for the Disability Readathon. So I think that was my first readathon that I ever participated in since starting my channel. And yeah, really, some of those books are ones that have apparently really stuck with me and made an impression. Leah's poetry is so alive to me. I just want to give so much credit to her and just I can't recommend her work highly enough. And I really see a lot of, it's not my own lived experience, but it is the lived experience of so many of my friends and chosen family. And I feel when I read her work that I'm honoring them and that I'm able to be a better friend and loved one to them. So here's a quote from the publisher to describe the book. It says, "Tonguebreaker is an unmitigated force of disabled queer of color nature, narrating disabled femme of color moments on the pull-off of the 80 in West Oakland, the street, and the bed. Tonguebreaker dreams, unafraid femme futures where we live, a ritual for our collective continued survival." And Femme Futures, that's actually the name of the first poem in the collection, and one that I just keep coming back to over and over, and I was really glad I was able to find it online, so I can link it below. Thanks for watching my top queer fiction of 2019. Please check out some of my other top videos. I've got middle grade and science fiction up, and memoirs will be coming soon. Please let me know any queer books that you were loving in 2019 that I should pick up this year. And of course you can like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We'll see you in the next video.